Well, since somehow I got stuck waiting on parts for every single one of my projects in here, I figured rather than just sit around and waste time, I'd at least make an update video, just a quick update video. I'm going to see if I can do this all in one take. So here we go. Here's what I'm working on right now. First up, I got the old 755 here, my main chore tractor around the yard here, and it's been pretty reliable, but I have been having some issues, especially while mowing the grass, where it'll sputter and act like it's starving for fuel when it's got half a tank. It's a very common issue with these tractors, or well, pretty much anything that's going to be 40 years old at this point, is the fuel pickup line rots off inside the tank. It falls off the sending unit, and then it fails to pick up fuel once the fuel level gets to about halfway. And as you can see, this sending unit has seen much better days. Nice thing about these 55 series compacts is a lot of the parts are still available from Deere. So I just phoned in an order for a new one. The dealer should have it here next week. It's a little over 200 bucks, which, given the age of these things and given that it's John Deere, I'm a little surprised, but I mean, it's not bad. So if you guys have a 55 series or anything with this style of fuel pickup, if you're going to replace the sending unit, you need to buy the sending unit with the pickup tube here, which is a little strainer. This is similar to what you'd see on an F series front mount mower, or a 300 or 400 series, like a John Deere 318 or 420 or something similar. What happens is the fuel line hose that comes off the bottom of the sending unit rots away, falls off in the tank, and takes the pickup tube with it, or the pickup screen with it. So that's been on the list to do on this tractor for quite some time, and I'm finally getting around to it, because I used the tractor a good amount of time last winter just with the loader, and I want to get this squared away before spring comes around, because it'll be plow season here before we know it, and this thing will be running all over the place going to plow days. The other thing I need to do to it yet is change out the fan belt. This thing has been on its last legs for I don't know how many years now, but I figured it was only a matter of time before I'm at a plow day and that thing breaks, and then it's too late before I finally realize it, and next thing you know, we got a toasted Yanmar. So got a new belt on order as well. We'll get that all taken care of, and I still have to do my annual service, just go through it, change the fluids and filters, and hit every one of the 30 or so grease fittings on this entire tractor, deck and loader. It's pretty excessive if you ask me, but I guess you can never have too much grease. So that's where we stand with the 755. At some point this winter, I'm also going to take the loader control valve off and ship it out to a guy out west to have it rebuilt with new bushings. There's a fellow on Facebook on the 55 series compact tractor group who is, as of recently, is now offering a rebuild service for these for about 250 bucks, which, if you ask me, is a much better alternative than trying to source all the new hardware, which last time I checked through Deere, the new pin and bushing and all that was well over $1,000 to have it all tightened up again. So I can't justify that on a tractor that I don't really have much more than that invested in. So that's the next thing on the list, but I just want to handle one thing at a time, so that's where that's at. 520 is just sitting here being the trailer queen, or the shop queen for the winter. I've been chasing a charging system issue with this tractor since I got it from Shane 3 going on 4 years ago. Crazy to think it's been that long ago already, but I noticed, the handful of times I would take it out over the course of a year, the tractor would start and run fine, but after running for some time, it would fail to start again. It would always struggle. And I've had electrical issues with tractors before, so I'm no stranger to that, unfortunately. But this actually ended up being a multitude of different problems. So first and foremost, the generator was not charging, even though it had been rebuilt, 10 or 15 years ago, whenever Shane had worked on the tractor originally. The generator was not charging, so I shipped that out to get rebuilt, and that took care of the charging issue. I got it reinstalled on the tractor, went to start it up. I also put a new battery in it, and it still started just as poorly as it did before. And I noticed I would have to hit the starter button on the floor multiple times before the starter would actually engage. So I got a little curious, and I crawled underneath and popped the flywheel cover off and the starter cover, because the starters on these later Waterloo tractors are underneath inside the case. And I popped the cover off and found that the large cable going to the starter from the battery was barely hanging on to the threads on the starter switch by just about a thread. Like, the only thing keeping the cable from falling off and keeping the nut from backing off was the oil residue that was holding it all together. So that definitely needed to be addressed, and I got that tightened back up, clean all the connections and everything, and started a little better, but the starter felt weak, so I replaced the battery again just for good measure, which is typically not something that I like to do, but replaced the battery just to be on the safe side, and the starter would turn it over real slow. Like once the engine hit the compression stroke, it would just stop. So then I took the starter out and had that rebuilt. A couple months later, got it all back together between the new starter and the rebuilt generator and a new battery, and she fires right up now. So that takes care of that. And the only other thing on the list for the 520, not that it really needs hardly anything, but something that's been bugging me since I bought the tractor 4 years ago, is the rear SCV couplers always leak. They've always had a slow drip, and it's getting progressively worse to the point where I've had to keep the oil pan under it. There's O-rings in the back of those couplers there that are pretty difficult to get to, from what I understand. I've never had one of them apart myself, so I'm gonna probably just take the couplers off and send them to a local hydraulic shop and have those guys take them apart and reseal them, because it doesn't matter if the tractor's been running, if it's been sitting for a long time, or what the temperature is. I mean, you'll always see a drip from those couplers. So just another thing on the list. It's needed that for quite a few years now, so I'm going to address that here at some point soon. Working our way over to the other bay here, which I'm fortunate to be able to have this bay to myself again, because my neighbor moved out, the neighbor who was a bit of a problem last time. So for the time being, I've got 2 full bays to use. Working on the high crop or high clearance M here, just getting some of the issues ironed out with it. When I got this tractor, the generator wires were disconnected, but for the handful of times I ran it through the summer and fall, never noticed any issues starting it or anything like that. And then of course, once winter came around and the cold weather set in, then it got to be difficult to start. And this one is still set up on the original 6-volt system, so 6 volts only reliable for the first couple seconds of cranking, and then it'll drain the battery real quick. So I put the wires back on the generator and determined that the generator was not charging, so I shipped that one out to get rebuilt as well. Hope to have that back soon. I'm just working through a lot of the little quirks with it. I flipped the rear tires around to the wide position, and next thing I need to do is widen the front axle to match the tread width. That'll be another project here coming up soon. I don't know how long it's been since this axle was last adjusted, but it might take some convincing with an air hammer to get that pin out, but we'll see. Let me just take a look back here. I also adjusted the rear cultivator gang so that the rear gangs or the rear sweeps are in line with the tire, since I widened it out. So I've got these rear gangs slid out as wide as they'll go. And I've been fighting the U-bolts that hold the sweeps onto the main toolbar, because of course when these get to be 75 years old, typically they don't come off without snapping the ends off, and the nuts are usually rusted on there. So I've broken 3 of those U-bolts, and unfortunately they're not available new from John Deere anymore, and they're not just your standard run-of-the-mill 7/16 U-bolts, because they're very narrow and they're also extremely heavy. I mean, it's a very dense metal. They almost seem like they're cast the way they're rusted out. But I have a couple of sources for new old stock parts, so I'm gonna reach out to those guys and see if they have any new U-bolts laying around, and I'll get the rear cultivator gang put back on it, get everything tightened up, and then this tractor should, once I get the front axle widened up, this tractor should be ready to go to the indoor show at Lebanon, Pennsylvania here in a couple months. It's not going to be the prettiest tractor there. I mean, it's not a show stopper or head turner by any means, but it's just one of those things that makes people go, huh, that's cool, at a show. And you know, I bring the stuff I try to bring to that show is, you know, meant to bring up conversation, to start conversation. So I don't think any high clearance M's have ever been to that show, so that's the plan for this one. And if I'm lucky enough, hopefully I can get this one back together, running and looking somewhat decent enough to bring to the show as well. And I know I haven't shown this one in a video before, but this is the newest addition to the collection of high clearance and vegetable tractors. This is a 1955 John Deere 40 high crop, one of 294 built and one of 259 equipped with a gas engine. These were made in 1955 only, so they're pretty uncommon, and they're actually more rare than the 40V, which was like the vegetable semi high clearance version, which basically just the model that replaced this. This tractor has kind of a cool story behind it. It originally came from my hometown in South Jersey, and I used to drive past the farm where it lived pretty much every day when I was a little kid, when my mom was working and she'd drop me off at my aunt and uncle's farm. We would drive past the farm where this tractor lived for many years. And I'm not sure exactly when, but probably within the last 25 years or so, I mean, when I was real young, the farm liquidated all their equipment, and this tractor got sold to a collector down in Cape May, New Jersey, who had a small farming operation and a roadside stand. And the way I understand it is his plan was to use this tractor for his vegetable operation, for spraying or cultivating, and he never got around to it. The guy got older. He wanted to focus more of his time just on restoring tractors, and he ended up selling the farm stand and getting out of the farming business. And the tractor sat in a greenhouse in his backyard literally right across the canal from Cape May, which is at the very southern tip of New Jersey. And it sat there for estimated like 15 or 20 years in the salt air, which unfortunately that salty shore air does not do very nice things to original paint and metal. So it definitely took its toll. But my buddy Jason up in northern New Jersey bought it off of this collector back in 2010 or so about 15 years ago, and he rolled it into his barn and did not do anything with it then. So he was looking to find a new home for it because he has a couple of other 40 high crops, and he wasn't going to be able to get around to fixing this one up. So he offered it to me, and I had to grab it because it came from my hometown. And after doing a little bit of research, I actually was able to find out exactly which farm it came from. I was scrolling through some old aerial photos on vintageaerials.com, and I happened to see in one picture, you could see on a farm there was a 40 high crop, or what looked like a 2-cylinder high crop of some kind, with headlights with a white tractor license plate on the front, and it had a sprayer hook to it, which would indicate that it was not used for 3-point hitch work or cultivators. And judging by all of the typical wear points and the fact that there's no cultivator mounting equipment on this tractor, I think it's safe to bet that this thing never had cultivators on it. I mean, even on the mounting brackets here, there's no signs that a cultivator toolbar was ever mounted to it. And the 3-point rock shaft is intact, as well as the PTO, but no signs that there was ever lower 3-point brackets or anything on it. So I have plenty of reason to believe that this tractor was a dedicated high crop sprayer tractor. And you can see it's got the rear outlet, the 6-volt outlet, and it's also equipped with the somewhat hard to find rear SCV, which I can't say I've ever seen one of these on a 40. I don't think it's really that rare, but I know it's not something that you come across anymore. So that tells me that this was most likely 9 out of 10 chance that it was a sprayer tractor most of its life. Needless to say, it was pretty cool to be able to acquire this piece of history from my hometown. Like I said, there weren't many 40 high crops built, and I kind of like the V's a little bit more because they're more specific to South Jersey. They were kind of field tested and developed in South Jersey, but the high crops are just as neat. And this one is all there. I mean, all the high crop parts, including the original serial number tag, are all there, and everything is intact. Nothing's been beat on or welded on or destroyed and broken and re-welded, like with a lot of these high crop tractors. Unfortunately, that's the fate that a lot of them met back in the day. But I mean, everything from the front axle knees to the center spacer to the drawbar mounting brackets to the rear spacers. It's even got the correct original high crop throttle lever, which is different from a standard 40 or a regular 40. When I got this thing, the engine was seized up, so I've been working on getting it loosened up. The exhaust manifold had a hole in it, so I have a new one on order coming in. I got to drill out the 3 or 4 broken studs. I did get the engine freed up. I got the transmission freed up. I got all the fluids flushed and changed. Because this was a sprayer tractor, this whole center dash column was full of corrosion. The old dash panel was almost rusted to the outer casting, so I had to cut the screws off, and I actually found a very nice original paint dash panel with the factory hour meter and the what's left of the original John Deere decal there. I got everything wired up, got a new battery for it, got the starter rebuilt, and I have the tires out at the local tire shop getting swapped out with a nice set of original straight bar Goodyear tires that are going to go on it. So I got a new seat as well, and I've just been working through a lot of the other little kinks with it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Obviously I'll have more videos on this stuff in the future, but just a short update to keep you guys entertained. Hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.